Dr. Joel Rudman is here with us. He's a state representative for the Santa Rosa County area, and he has thrown his hat in the ring for this open congressional seat vacated by Matt Gaetz just a couple days ago. So, Dr. Rudman, tell me a little bit about why you've decided to run for Congress.
Well, first of all, Chris, thanks for having me. You know, this is not a decision we make lightly. This is actually something that constituents have been asking me about ever since the announcement was made that Congressman Gaetz is getting the job of Attorney General. So it's something that we've been kicking around ever since that date. You know, we were kind of gauging interest, kind of gauging our support. You know, obviously we want to be where our constituents think that we can do the most good. And I tell you, it's a decision that we reached last night. As you probably know, I was sworn into my second consecutive term in the Florida House yesterday. So we took the oath of office, and by that afternoon, I was in a Republican conference with basically there's 85 members, Republican members in the Florida House of Representatives. We have a super majority once again here in the state of Florida. So it was during that meeting that I looked around the room and I said, you know, Florida is in good hands. You know, when I ran for office originally back in 2022, you know, under the Biden administration, under all the COVID lockdowns and all the crazy COVID hysteria, we had to shore up Florida first. But as I looked around that room yesterday, I realized, you know, Florida isn't the issue right now. President Trump needs some foot soldiers. He needs some people with backbone. He needs some people with sharp minds and iron wills and spines made of steel. And that certainly applies to Congressman Gaetz. We cannot afford to replace Congressman Gaetz with any sort of inferior product. We have to have someone who's on that level. The people of Northwest Florida are going to demand that, and they certainly deserve that. And Chris, I think you know from my reputation in the Florida House, I don't shy away from saying what's right, whether people want to hear it or not. I don't shy away from confrontation. I don't back down from a fight. And so I see myself as the heir apparent to Matt Gaetz's legacy. Those are going to be some tremendous shoes to fill. And make no mistake, no one in this race will be able to fill those shoes. But I think when you're looking around for a natural successor to Congressman Gaetz, I think I'm probably the first name that comes to mind.
So you answered my first question right out of the gate, which is why you. So is there anything other than, you know, your personality, your demeanor, the way that you attack problems that you want to highlight as a reason why you're the guy for the job?
So, you know, I think you can look at the pattern that I've set for myself just in the Florida House to see what you're going to see at the DC level. I mean, President Trump has given us this amazing opportunity to once again make America great. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have been raised during the Ronald Reagan era. So I'm fortunate enough to have the viewpoint of, I remember 1979. I remember America under horrible President Jimmy Carter. I remember there being long lines at the gas station. I remember gas being up to $2 a gallon. I remember turning on the 5 p.m. news and hearing day number 340 of the American hostages in Iran. I remember what it was like, how depressing it was like under a Carter administration. And then next thing you know, we had a Reagan administration. All of a sudden, America was on top. America was great again. The hostages were released. Gas prices came down. There were no long lines for gasoline. Everyone had a job. Everyone was happy and was enthusiastic. America was back on top, leading the world again. And I think we actually saw a second Reagan revolution, if you will. We saw a Trump revolution back in 2016. Again, to my point, we were back on top again in 2016. And, you know, I'm looking forward to working with President Trump to get America back where we were during his first term of office. We will make America great again. And I think you can see what our priorities are going to be based upon President Trump's early nominations. We are going to adopt a strong America First policy because that's the way it has to be. We have to, number one, secure the borders. We have to protect our own national interests. Number two, we have to grow our economy. We have to have jobs available for every American that wants one. And that leads me to point number three. We have to encourage, respect, and protect American businesses, mom and pop businesses, not multinational corporations who owe no allegiance to our flag or our country. We have to protect and respect those businesses that operate in America, produce American goods, employ American workers, and sell their products to American citizens.
So, Dr. Rudman, if you were to win election, right? So you go through the primary, you win a primary if we have one, I believe we have one, and then you go on and win the general. In 2 years, what are the things that you're going to point to and say, see, I did what I said I was going to do? What are the accomplishments that you expect to have in the first 2 years?
So it's a little bit different from the Florida House. I'm not sure I'll be able to say they're my accomplishments, but what I will do, I will stand with President Trump with his agenda. I will always sponsor an America First strategy. And of course, that means rebuilding our military. So in terms of Northwest Florida, you know that we're a heavily military area. We are going to strengthen our military. We are going to preserve and protect the mission of NAS Pensacola, of Eglin Air Force Base, of Hurlburt Field. But we are also going to root out those cancers that are infecting every aspect of our society, including these DEI initiatives that weaken our defenses, weaken our country, weaken our security. So in terms of impact, you'll see here in Northwest Florida, you'll see job creation and you'll see a stronger military.
Looking at the election that you do have coming up right now, what is your strategy? How are you going to reach people? What are your brass tacks?
So I think it's a matter of simple mathematics. You know, I am in the most populated, the heaviest Republican district in the Matt Gaetz congressional district. So the voters who are hardcore Republicans, the voters here in Santa Rosa County, in northern Okaloosa County, they know me extremely well. In the last election that I just came out of, I got more Republican votes than any other state representative except one. I was number 2. I won with a 78% vote total. So I need my voters to show up at the polls once again. In terms of my footprint, Chris, you know, before I was in Santa Rosa County, the first home I owned was in Okaloosa County in Blue Water Bay. I've also owned property in Walton County. More often than not on the weekends, chances are you can find me in Walton County just as often as you find me in Santa Rosa County. So the people throughout the district, they know me well. They know my reputation. Even though these areas currently weren't under my state district, I reached out to constituents in all of the above mentioned counties, including Escambia County. They know me extremely well in Pensacola. They know what they're getting in Dr. Joel Rudman, and they know that we need a doctor, not just in the Florida House, but in the U.S. House of Representatives as well.
Can you tell me a little bit about what might be different between the way that you operate or what your goals might be than former Representative Gaetz? Are there any distinctions that you want to make?
So I am a Gaetz disciple, first and foremost. We have the utmost respect for the Gaetz family, Matt and Don. You know, I was in Okaloosa County buying my first home when Don first became a public figure, you know, with the school board. So we have tremendous respect for the Gaetz family. So I hope people don't see much difference at all. I hope it's a relatively seamless transition. And again, I don't want people to contrast my style with Representative Gaetz. I want people to say, I knew when I voted for Joel Rudman that we were going to continue the tradition that Matt started. We're not going to take any guff. We're certainly going to give as good as we get. We're going to hold members of both parties accountable. We are going to balance our budget and keep our fiscal house in order. We are going to restore America back to greatness. We are going to bring jobs to the Panhandle, and we are going to strengthen the military that keeps us all free.
Last thing that I have for you is you are, of course, you just got sworn in to be the state representative for Santa Rosa County, Northern Okaloosa County. Who's going to replace you? Who are you endorsing to replace you? Who do you want to see replace you?
So, you know, that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. I certainly have people around me that are highly qualified. As you know, I have someone on my staff who was just a couple votes shy of being Okaloosa County Commissioner. So I would certainly ask that staff member when the time comes if they were interested in the position. I think they are highly qualified. And then, of course, you have other people in both Okaloosa County, Northern Okaloosa County, and Santa Rosa County who are quite capable as well. But again, my focus right now is on carrying out the legacy of Matt Gaetz and continuing the tradition of strong conservative leadership for Northwest Florida. We will not be taken lightly in the U.S. House, and our voices will be heard.
So that staff member, I'm assuming, is Carrie Pitzer, correct?
That's
All
correct.
right. Can you just tell me a little bit about what she brings to the table and what you want to see from her if she were to win that seat that you currently sit in?
So I think that when I made this decision, I made the decision last night, and it was not it was not something I entered into lightly. I'm a very deliberate person, Chris. When you talk about what District 3, what I would like to see in the future out of District 3, I looked around the room. I was in Tallahassee yesterday when I made my mind up. We were in a Republican caucus meeting, and I looked around the room of fellow Republicans, 85 members strong. I looked around and I said, I have done what I said I was going to do. I brought medical freedom to the doctors and patients of the state of Florida, sponsored and passed the Cassie Carley law. I listened to my constituents. I did what the people of my district wanted me to do. And I would expect no less from anyone running to succeed me in my office at the state level. But let me tell you, looking around that Republican caucus room, we are leaving the state of Florida in good hands. I can assure you, I appreciate all the praise and all the hype that you've given me over my last term and then the beginning of this term. But let's be honest, it's a team effort in the state of Florida. The Florida House is one big team. It's a strong Republican team. So as I looked around that room, I realized, guys, Florida is in good hands. President Trump is the person who needs me right now, because we need men with backbones. We need men and women of integrity, of honor, to serve in the U.S. Congress. He's going to need some foot soldiers to help carry out his agenda, and that's where I'm focused right now.
All right, Dr. Rudman, anything else you want to add for our interview?
Just that I'm, again, the press has been after me for a couple of weeks now saying, what do you want to do? Dr. Rudman, what are your wishes? And, Chris, it's never been about my wishes. It's been about the wishes of the constituents and the people of Northwest Florida. Another thing that really made my mind up for me, Monday night. So Monday afternoon, I was in Tallahassee getting a debriefing, drove back to the district Monday night from Tallahassee to be with the Okaloosa County Republican Executive Committee at their party in Destin. And, to see a packed house of Republicans in Destin, Florida, to see the response I got. And these are people, Chris, that have never voted for me before. These are people in southern Okaloosa County. These people, they're dying for a hero. They need someone to speak up on their behalf in Congress, just like Matt Gaetz has done all these years. And as I said, I am going to be the heir apparent to Matt Gaetz. I am, for all intents and purposes, the front runner right now. I am the next logical choice.
I think I might have lost you there just for a moment. Let's see. It's just sound, but it looks like it's still recording. Oh, I can hear you again. Perfect. I know I got it because it links. I can see it happening. If you would, I think those are all my questions. Looks like we're having a little bit of a hit stop on the